little phones don't sell. Or on the other hand, so goes the acknowledged insight, particularly in a year when it looks likely that Apple will drop the Mini from the iPhone 14 series, and Sony killed off its minor Xperia 5 line. Nobody let Asus know that, however, so it's bringing back its minimal Zenfone lead, and truth be told, the Zenfone 9 is significantly more modest and more limited than last year's Zenfone 8. In all honesty, the organization's in good company. While Apple and Sony might be getting away from one-gave handsets, Asus itself brings up that it's confronting re-established rivalry from the Samsung Galaxy S22 and Xiaomi 12, the two of which are more modest than their ancestors. The Zenfone 9 is more modest than either, however, and on account of Asus' endeavors to in any case press and leader specs, this likely could be the go-to little phone for Android clients. Here's the reason. Design and a simple, conservative and light, grippy plastic completion. IP68 rating. There's a great deal to like about the way the Zenfone 9 looks. The undeniable beginning spot is the size, because of utilizing a little 5.9-inch showcase. This is a little phone by present-day principles, and at 169 grams it's likewise stunningly lightweight. At 9.1 mm thick, it's not the most slender phone around, yet you'd positively not call it stout. And that extremely slight additional thickness feels superfluous once you figure how conservative the phone is generally. However, the design is novel in different regards as well. The completion, for one. Asus has utilized another polymer finish for the back of the Zenfone 9, which it says is more scratch-safe than commonplace phone plastics. Accessible in 4 tones, dark, blue, red, and a grayish, it likewise gloats a grippy, finished finish. Frankly, I could have done without this from the outset. I thought the phone felt modest and practically like paper. However, I've for the most part come around to the sensation, and surely value the way that it has a solid sense of reassurance and durable. It is different to most phones, however, and you might need to look at it face to face prior to focusing on the phone. To finish strong, the protective principles here are first-rate as well. The presentation is covered in Gorilla Glass Victus, the most recent norm, and the phone overall has an IP68 rating for residue and water opposition. Show and sound. Punchy 120Hz AMOLED screen. Headphone jack. Disheartening sound system speakers. The way into the Zenfone 9 size is the choice to utilize a 5.9-inch showcase. That is far more modest than most leads, a considerable lot of which are pushing near 7 and now, and more conservative than even any semblance of the Galaxy S22, Xiaomi 12, or iPhone 13. Notwithstanding the size, the Zenfone 9 screen isn't lacking in specs. It's an AMOLED board with a 120Hz invigorate rate and a full HD Plus goal, and it likewise upholds HDR10 Plus content. It's brilliant as well, 1100 nits top splendor as per Asus, which practically speaking was sufficient to make it agreeable to involve even in splendid light. Tragically, the phone's sound system speakers dazzled me less. That is somewhat odd, since Asus regularly handles sound well and, surprisingly, joined forces with Direct to tune the phone. However, I found it feeble and metallic regardless of what I played. A lot of that is logical down to the sheer size. Greater phones fit greater speakers, yet it's as yet a slight dissatisfaction. Specs and execution. State-of-the-art Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip. Cooling limits execution fairly. Up to 16GB SLAM. Maybe the most bizarre thing about the Zenfone 9 is the specs you'll view as inside. Asus decided to prepare the phone with a lead chipset. However, explicitly the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, a mid-cycle revived chip with overclocked execution, for the most part found in gaming phones and execution leads. Join that with the choice to spec the phone with up to 16GB SLAM and 256GB stockpiling, and you have a phone that is strong for its size, however an out-and-out force to be reckoned with by its own doing. However, there's a major proviso to that: cooling. Chips run hot, and cooling tech occupies a great deal of room. That is precarious in little phone. And despite the fact that Asus lets me know that the phone's thermals are 230% bigger than in the past model, it's as yet sufficiently not. In benchmarks, the Zenfone 9 is plainly strong, yet lingers essentially behind Asus' own 8 Plus Gen 1 fueled ROG Phone 6 Pro, particularly on the computer chip weighted Geekbench 5 benchmark. However, honestly, that is a gaming phone with more dedicated cooling. Camera and video. Double back cameras. Gimbal balanced out principal focal point. Respectable selfie camera. Assuming that there's one region where the Zenfone 9 seemingly falls behind its lead rivalry, it's the camera spec. However, it truly depends where your needs lay. Asus has included only 2 back focal points here, a 50MP fundamental camera and a 12MP ultra-wide. There's no fax or periscope, nor is there a devoted large-scale camera like the focal point determination on the Pixel 6 and iPhone 13. The consequence is that additional work has been placed into making that fundamental camera sing. It utilizes the Sony IMX766 sensor, which we've seen for this present year in phones going from the mid-range nothing phone as far as possible up to the uber-lead Oppo Trackdown X5 Pro. Asus has separated things by enhancing the sensor's inherent optical picture adjustment, with a 6-pivot gimbal framework for additional improved security. That is a stunt Vivo has used to extraordinary impact in its own new leads, and is a major piece of why we figure the Vivo X80 Pro has one of the most mind-blowing phone cameras around. Software and updates. Runs Android 12 with Harmony UI. Software changes for 1 gave use. Just ensured 2 Android updates. The Zenfone 9 boats with Android 12, and runs Asus Harmony UI on top. This is a pretty bare-bones skin, however, and generally the phone closely resembles stock Android. It likewise utilizes Google's own Center applications for nearly everything, with only a couple of extra Asus applications pre-introduced. Despite the fact that the phone is now little, Asus has attempted to streamline it much further to suit 1 gave use. The best part of this is the side-mounted unique finger impression sensor, which serves as a button named Zen Touch. Battery and charging. More than a day's battery duration. Phenomenal lifespan for the size. 30W wired charging. Little phones have little batteries, and in this manner little phones have short battery durations. Or on the other hand, isn't that right? In spite of the actual phone being a touch more modest, the Zenfone 9's battery is greater than previously, with an all-out limit of 4300 mAh. That is still little by leader phone norms, yet matched with the 8 Plus Gen 1's power productivity improvements, the outcome is a battery that serenely endures over a day.